A lot of climbers find themselves finishing one V3, but then they find the next one practically impossible. So today, we're gonna fix that. And Seraphim's in addition, where we help you build confidence and climb better. Often climbers are so focused on the grade that they don't develop the skills they need to consistently climb V3s. So today, we're going to show you what 5 skills you need to consistently climb V3s, plus how to develop those. Any of these skills, if you're missing them, is likely you won't be able to do this consistently, and you'll never be able to break into the harder grades. So make sure you're going through every single one of these in your climbing session. For the first skill, a lot of times climbers are in this position where they can't reach the next hold because of their foot position. So we want to learn how to do the foot switch. And there's a couple of different ways to do this. So we're going to look at the most common ways and then also the best way. So first off, when people are in this position, a lot of times I see people cut both feet and then place. That puts all of the weight on your hands and you might slip and fall. So instead, recommend 2 different ways. There's one where you step above and you smush into your foot. And then the other one, which I prefer most of the time, is where you kind of do this position to get to the next one. To develop this skill, you're gonna get on a climb where the holds aren't super small, but not one where both can fit. And you're gonna practice the different forms of switching your feet to see which one you prefer. After you've done this a few times on a bigger hold, we're gonna move to a smaller hold and a smaller hold. And yes, at first this can be really hard, but practicing it like this will develop the skills so much faster. A really common problem that I see climbers is they're so far away from the next hold that they can't reach it without pulling their body in with their arms. But there is one way to do this where you don't need muscles in the upper arms as much. Instead, we want to practice pivoting our hips into the wall like this so we can reach the holds using minimum effort on our arms. To develop this skill, we're going to get on a route that's somewhat overhanging, and it doesn't even have to be a route. You can put your hands wherever you want. And you're going to practice putting your hip into the wall. But specifically, we're gonna choose the hip that's associated with the hand we're trying to move. So let's say I wanna move my left hand. I'm gonna put my left hip into the wall like this, and then move. The first couple of times you do this, he'll be like pivot and then move. Once you get better at it, you're gonna pivot and move at the same time. And it'll be super flawless. And this is gonna be perfect for those overhanging routes. Oftentimes when we see climbs where the footholds aren't super ideal, like for example, these two are really close to each other, it's super hard to start, right? So instead, we want to smear our foot on the next hold. That way, when we're making the movement, we're not scrunched up and we add stability by spreading our body out a little bit. To develop this skill, you don't need to do it on a route, and same with all of these skills, but I'm just gonna show you on this pink one, because there's 2 holds that are really close to each other. But if you use both feet on it, you're never going to reach the next hold, okay? So try and imagine the direction that you want to go. And with the hand that you want to move, you're going to put that on a hold. And with the stability that you need, you're going to smear your foot against the wall here. Now you can see when I'm smearing, it's actually pushing away from the wall. The reason for this is because if you just set it here, you're not going to be able to put weight in it. So you have to kind of push to be able to do it. And if I were in your shoes trying to develop smearing, I would practice pushing off of it so that you can get to the next move. This is one of those skills that's going to set you up for so many different routes, not just V3s, V4s. So take some time practicing this, and in a few sessions, you'll be feeling super solid with it. A lot of times climbers are stuck because they can't quite reach the next hold, and they don't have long enough arms. I actually have long enough arms. Maybe that's not a good example, but let's pretend I have a couple inches shorter. What we can do to give us a couple inches length is instead of pulling our body away from the hold, we're actually going to shift our weight over using our hips to get over. It's called the rock over, and it is fundamental for so many routes at so many different levels. So take the time practicing shifting your weight with your lower body and using your upper body to support that move, not force the move. To develop this skill, we're gonna come off the wall just for a couple of times, and I want you to find some sort of stable ridge like this. We're gonna practice standing up on it. This might seem really simple because you've probably done stairs in your life, but the same movement that we're doing here, where we're getting our hips over our foot, before we stand up, that's the same movement we're doing on the rockover. So do this a few times, and then let's go back to the wall and make up a rockover. When we're on the wall, I recommend finding some big holds, and it doesn't matter what size foot holds you are doing right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to practice not just pushing with this foot, we're also going to practice pulling and pushing with this foot. That way you can feel what it's like to pull your body in one direction at the same time as pushing the direction. Once you've practiced this a few times, then apply it to a real route. A really common problem that climbers have, especially when they're entering the V3's, is they grab a hold and they swing off a route. And just like that, we call that a barn door, and there's a really simple fix for this. It's called same hand, same foot. It's fundamental movement of climbing. So essentially we're gonna get up into the same position we were. And before we move our hand, we want to put our feet to support that movement. In this case, I want to move my left hand to be efficient to go here. If I do this though, exactly what you just saw, barn door. So instead, we're going to put our left foot in a place of power. As I did a foot switch, we did that earlier. Now I can move my hand. There's no movement whatsoever. If I want to move my right hand, then I put my right foot in a good solid spot. And that makes the movement much more smooth. A lot less work on the arms too. To develop this skill, we're gonna get on a really easy route. A lot of gyms, V0's, do exactly what we need for this, where they're more straight up and down than anything else. What we're gonna do is we're gonna climb the route, but instead of just moving our hands, we're going to do same hand, same foot. So if I want to move my right hand, then I want to put my right foot in a position of power that I can use to support that movement. Now, before I move my left hand up, if I did it right now, it'd be kind of hard to do. So I'm going to put my left foot in a place, what we call power. It just means control. So it will support that. You can do this all the way up the route to the very top. Do this on multiple routes and then advance to the harder grades, utilizing this fundamental movement of same hand, same foot. Developing all these skills will help you reach that V3 mark, but unfortunately there are these habits climbers make that prevent them from progressing any further. So watch this video next to make sure you're not making any of those mistakes and start developing the proper habits today.